Hello, this is Frederico from Esox, and you're listening to the Brew Delicious podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
It's hot in Italy. It's hot in the States here too. It's insanely hot.
Yeah, what part of the States are you from?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, yes.
Originally from New York, but in Richmond, Virginia now for the last 20
so we are
years. So
probably the same temperature as.
I don't know Celsius, but here it's supposed to be 105 today.
I don't know Fahrenheit, so today is 30.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hot, whatever the case is. So yeah, it's gonna be brutal, but
it's humidity that fucks you. It's not the temperature.
yes, and it's 100% humidity here. So what part of Italy are you from?
Originally from Sicily, but I live in Tuscany.
Okay. My grandparents were from Calabria. I don't know where that is, but
okay, it's close to where I'm from. It's like
it's somewhere south, right?
It's there's Sicily, that's the island, and the last region on the continent is Calabria.
Okay, yeah, that's where he was. That's where my grandparents were from before they moved to the States back in the 20s or something. So never been. I'd like to come over and check it out.
It's good.
So anyway, we're going to start things a little bit different today. I definitely want to get into, how do you pronounce it? Is it Esox?
Esox. It's Latin.
Okay. I definitely want to get into it and Watery Grave and all that stuff. But before we do, I'm going to ask everybody this today. What is your some horrible news this week? How did it affect you? And do you have any stories on what Ozzy meant to you or Black Sabbath?
Well, it crushed me. Like, it's one of the things that, I'm of course younger than you.
Right.
It definitely didn't hit me as much as probably people who grew up in the 80s and the 90s. But he was an institution, and he was. I was prepared for it, because it should have been sooner for the way he lived. But
right,
as soon as I read the notice, I kind of ever since the concert they did in the back from the beginning concert stuff, I have been listening to Blizzard of Oz on loop. Because I have it on CD here, and especially "Goodbye to Romance." It's probably my favorite song of it, and then I got it. Okay, I have to listen to it now, and I'm still a bit stunned about it, but that's the way it goes. I'm sure he lived life to the fullest.
Oh yeah.
So
and I think in the end, I'm going to get right to the band here, but in the end, I think we wouldn't, or I'm sure you and I wouldn't be talking here if that first Black Sabbath record never hit this. I mean, he created this whole fucking thing. So
it's a thing I always say, even to people who don't listen to metal. I always tell them Black Sabbath is the most important band in history, like the Beatles and Pink Floyd. They're fundamental for everything that came after that.
Yes, 100%.
It's a band you can say, okay, it's not for me, but you can say I dislike Black Sabbath.
And he was pushing buttons way before Madonna and Marilyn Manson. He was pushing things to the extreme, right, just for that shock value. And I think they learned that from him, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of that, Madonna was my first concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which tour was that?
The MDNA tour. I was 11, but my father he's still alive, isn't a big rock or metal fan. Actually, all he knows about metal, he got it from me. But he is a big Eurythmics fan, and also Depeche Mode and Madonna. So I grew up listening to more of that stuff. I had to figure out, when I was 10, I asked him, can you get me a Queen CD? And that's how it started.
Which one?
The Greatest Hits. And then I got all the others.
Right.
But yeah, so when he asked me, would you like to go to a Madonna concert? I was like, oh, yeah, sure.
Heck yeah. All right, so Esox, For those not familiar with you guys, can you give us like the 2-sentence boardroom elevator pitch? Who are you guys?
Well, first it's just me. It's a one-man band. Picture it as Agalok if they went on a fishing trip, because well, they are my favorite band. But as I was coming up with the concept of Esox, I was like, okay, I don't want to be like another atmospheric black metal band that talks about the forests and woods and shit, like not shit, but
Yeah,
it's
no, I get you.
it's almost like Satanism. It's beamed down.
Right.
Well, and before being a musician, I am a biologist. I study biology, and I've always been fascinated with the marine world.
Mhm.
Coming from an island, it's almost obvious that as soon as I learned how to walk, I also learned how to swim.
Right.
But what solidified it for me was watching Jaws, the 1975 movie, and also getting into nature documentaries. But I was like 4 at the time, and so it's something that has always been with me. And I'm also a big fish nerd, like watching fishing documentaries and going to aquariums and stuff. And so
Nice.
that's how my concept was born.
All right. So I put together 5 or 6 questions. Some of them are a little heavier than others, and then maybe if we have some time at the end, we'll have a little fun. But so I'm going to just jump right in. How does the symbolism of the pike, a hidden but powerful predator beneath the water surface, mirror the emotional depths explored in Watery Grave?
Okay, well, I'd say pike is my favorite animal, or one of my favorites. Well, it's a noble animal. I have always pictured it because it's an apex predator. It's almost like a great white shark, but shrinked to to a river environment. And it's also a solitary animal. So I think it fits well with the theme of loneliness, and sort of like, I wouldn't say depression, but melancholia that I wanted to build with the album. And even though there's a track, it's Esox lucius, which is the scientific name of the pike. Well, that is the only track on the album that dwells with more personal stuff. It's the only biographical track on the album, I will say. So it's also almost a reflection of me. But yeah, the rest of the album is more about a river environment in general, not just a single pike. I chose the name Esox because it's short. I think it fits with what I want to give to the audience with my music, and that's it.
Okay. You mentioned that one song was about you, and so do you ever feel like you've put too much of yourself into a song, or you've been too vulnerable? Like, shit, I shouldn't have said that, or what are they going to think?
It's fine. It's fine. I do talk about this. Well, yes, like especially in that one, I wrote it when it sounds cliche and shit, but I got out of a long relationship, and it was one way of coping with things. I was drinking, like really drinking at the time, but now I'm almost 4 years sober. So
congratulations, my friend.
Thanks. So yeah, I definitely that. But for future records, I just want to. The only personal stuff I want to let in the music is the songwriting itself. Speaking of my experiences with many musical genres, because I don't only listen to metal, I listen to everything. And in the last years, I've only listened to ambient music and neo-folk, but also jazz, everything. I love everything. But I want to take a more, I will say, scientific approach to my next works, because I always like to picture it as being a biologist myself, so a scientist. I want to picture a scientific paper but turned into music. Like my next album will be about the life cycle of salmons. So to do research, I watched lots of documentaries, read papers, and then also transformed into music and poetry. But yeah, I also because when I wrote Watery Grave, I was into, as I said, some deep personal
Right.
stuff, and that mirrors the lyrics of the album. Now that I am fine with myself, I can't force, to write something depressed if I'm not.
Right. So how do you think the album's it's pretty unpolished, right? So how do you think the unpolished production and the longer song lengths reflect the chaotic, meandering nature of, I don't know, depression, suicidal thoughts, or even reflections?
Well, it definitely does. And well, let's look at the elephant in the room, and it's that it's a entirely homemade album. Like I did everything, even the production, and that's also why I think it took this long to make, because like I started writing as I bought an audio card, and I started writing, learning how to use Mixcraft, learning how to mix, to master. And again, you can hear it. It's very homemade, and
But that's not necessarily at all a bad thing, because I think this music sometimes benefits from that lower fi, and I don't want to say lo-fi, but you know what I mean. I mean, the Norwegian guys were onto that 40 years ago or something, right?
yeah, definitely. That's why I'm not complaining, but at the same time, for my next stuff, I want to work with someone. This was a very personal record and done for the sake of it. Like it's a hobby. I don't
Right.
plan on paying my bills with Esox. It's something I like to do, and I'm planning on continuing doing it. But at the same time, I also get it that because I am the same. Like when you're the one experiencing the album, you also want to sound better. Or it's also when you watch a movie, if everything's out of focus, and even if it's meant to be, or if it's very artistic and it has very personal touch to it, you kind of get lost, because the message gets lost, because you get distracted by all the wrong things. And I also think that working with a producer in the future will benefit my
Sure, you get that outside thing going on.
because I am alone, and I want to remain alone when I write my stuff, because it's in the end it's my stuff. But when you stay all night listening and listening over and over again to your stuff, you kind of miss some points that an
Absolutely.
external help might get immediately.
Right. Okay. You mentioned listening to it over and over again. And so is it difficult revisiting the moments you kind of therapeutically put down on the record and got out into the world? Is it hard to re-listen to that and revisit those memories again while you're listening to the record?
Do you mean like the personal stuff, or
Yeah,
just
yeah. So yeah. So if you're playing that song that you said you put your whole self into, obviously you're listening back to it over and over again. Do you find it difficult, like re-listening to it, because you put your heart and soul into it, right?
No. Okay. Ever since the album got out, I have not listened to it.
Oh, really?
I was tired. Like I listened to
Yeah.
it over and over and over. And also the days before the release date, I had it on my phone, so like figuring out, okay, this works, the whole thing flows together, and stuff like that. But yeah, ever since it got out, I have not listened to it, because I wouldn't say I'm ashamed of it, but it's weird. It's my stuff, and so I know it by heart. But I played my first show last week. It was just myself, so it was an acoustic rendition.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I have no problems like playing my stuff, or if I get a full band to play a full concert, and I will have to listen to the songs again. But no, I have no problems, because it again, it was a way to exercise my bad
Right.
thoughts. So yeah, once put into music, okay, that stuff is
Done.
gone. It's not my problem anymore.
Music is so therapeutic, right? And cathartic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you might have a band. Are you planning on doing the full band thing and getting out on the road or playing shows? I know you have a regular job as well, but I'm just curious where this goes.
Well, who knows? Uh, First, I would like to maybe play some more solo shows, mainly because it's easier for me because where I live, I live in Pisa, and there's not a big metal scene. Like I would say, there's nothing at all. The only thing is like a bar that plays Iron Maiden all over again,
Right,
all over
right.
and over again. And also, there's no venues to start playing locally, and supporting musicians is a cost.
Oh
Because
yeah.
they wouldn't be full-time members; they would just be session musicians, and you have to pay them.
Right.
And so, I would love to, but maybe if all the cards are dealt right, and I find people I am comfortable with, and they would love to help, then yeah, maybe I would love playing my stuff live, but not at the moment. At least not in a full band.
Okay. So doing a little research, I got a heavier one for you if you don't mind. Doing a little research and kind of playing and getting out of the box here. Do you think the river imagery and flowing musical structures in Watery Grave can be interpreted as a metaphor for, I don't know, the inevitability of passing on or passing of time?
Well, I I didn't think of it as that, but yeah, it's a valid key of interpretation because in the end, that's where we're going. We're all going to die, and it's something you can't escape. And um, I think that it mainly shows that in the last song, which was very long, and that song was heavily inspired by Werner Herzog movies, and you can hear the samples that you can hear in the track are from Grizzly Man. I, you know, am pretty attached to that movie because you can find this sort of pessimistic philosophy in all of Werner Herzog movies, but that one being not only a documentary, so you see, I don't know if you've watched it, but
Mm-mm.
it basically is he is reconstructing tapes found from this guy who studied bears in Alaska,
Oh,
and
okay.
he ended up being eaten by one of those bears.
Oh, wow.
So the whole movie is also, there's several interviews with people he was close to, and some blamed him and called him an idiot because he knew that
Right.
eventually that would be his fate. But at the same time, he died doing what he loved. So there's beauty in that as well. So yeah, I like your key of interpretation of the river images. I think it fits perfectly with the album.
Thank you. Um, I know you said you're working on, are you working on, actively working on new material? I know you
Yeah.
had mentioned the next. Oh, so are you one of those people that's always writing, or do you
Oh
um,
no, I
sit down for the project?
yeah, I kind of been blocked for the last uh, 2 years because that's when I finished the writing process for Watery Grave, and I was always procrastinating writing new stuff because I was like, no, I have to be done with this first, and then I will start again. I started writing for new stuff around 5 or 6 months ago when I was finally done with Watery Grave, and then I started. I had some, you know, code progressions already written up because I'm always playing, but I had nothing recorded, and now I have 4 or 5 songs already demoed, but
Oh, wow.
they will take some time to be worked on. And then lyrics is the last thing that I write. So I always write the music first, and then once done, I write the lyrics.
Okay. So I got to ask, why salmon? I mean, why not the great white shark or, I don't know, the largemouth bass? What made you decide salmon?
Well, because first,
By no means is that being
the
insulting at all. I'm just curious. I'm not trying to.
no, it's fair, it's fair. No, it's because I've always been fascinated with their life cycle
Mhm.
because it's so I would say sad, but I don't want to look at it in a human point of view, because we as a species, like, we don't die as soon as we reproduce, and we don't, we, our intestines doesn't stop growing or working because we have to reproduce, and that's something that happens with salmon. But evolution found a way, quoting Jurassic Park, and that works for them. Um, but at the same time, it's so fascinating that they basically start decomposing, and they're still alive. But since they stop eating when they go up the river, that they basically have to take all the energy from leftover stuff like fat and skin. So you find them dying, but they are like already skeletons. They're still alive.
Wow.
So it's I would say almost the ultimate. How can I say? I'm not finding the right word in English. Like, a love quest of sort.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's the last thing you do, and then you die. And so that, because I want to approach the music, it's not going to be a metal album, or at least maybe at heart, but musically it's going to be more into neo folk and industrial, because that's what I've been listening to in the last years. So it's going to start like, all clear and acoustic, and representing the composition and process. It's going to be more noise when getting to the end of the album.
Right. Okay. That was a great answer. I love that. So what's next for you? I guess, are you doing any more upcoming shows, and where can fans find you? And then I got a couple funny things for you before we close out.
Well, I don't have a tour. I played this show because I was invited by one of the organizers. And maybe now I'm going back to Sicily for holidays, because I am done with the university for this year, so I'm going back home. And once I'm back in September, I will start looking for some gigs, because there's some places that don't play metal, but they play, some experimental stuff or post-rock. And so I think I can get a concert there, maybe opening for someone, and then who knows. But at the moment, I'm going to take it slowly, because now that the album has been out for a few months, maybe I will look for more interviews and exposure, but I'll lay low for a while and focus on the writing process.
Excellent. So where can fans find you? Can you give us your socials or whatever?
Well, you can find my merchandise on Bandcamp. I have CDs and T-shirts. I don't have them near at the moment, but you can
Just
find
Esox?
Esox, yeah, Esox Black Metal on Bandcamp.
Oh, Essex, sorry.
I will send you the links
Pronunciation.
by email, so don't worry. There's an Instagram page and a Facebook page. I'm not a big social media guy, so
I can't stand it. I'm finally building a team that's starting to do a lot of that for me, and it changes every day, right? You don't even there's a new one every time I turn around, and I'm old.
No, not
too hard to learn the technology.
I'm 23, but I've never downloaded TikTok. I don't think I will ever be. That thing is the Antichrist for me.
Hey, all right, 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Hold on. We're gonna start right. Why? Because first of all, what's your holder? It has to be a sandwich, but what's your hang up? The little piece of bread that holds the buns together?
No, it's a sandwich. It's usually with what's the word, like ham or salami. So it's not hot. That becomes a panino in Italian. So it's
all right. I'm going to give you one more chance.
Sandwich has to be like lettuce and ham. That's it.
All right, you got one more chance to redeem yourself here. Is cereal a soup?
No.
Why not?
Because soup is supposed to be hot.
But that's not true. You can get borscht, right? You can get Russian borscht, and there's another one too, another red one. They're served cold with like sour cream on them. They have to be soups.
No, for me, soup has to be with broth. So from water.
So But you can have. So you're saying you can have chicken broth, beef broth, but not milk?
Yeah, because the broth is from water. It's not from milk.
If you were stranded on a deserted island, could have 3 records for eternity. Assuming you had a solar-powered player, what would they be?
Eagle of the Mantle, Franco Battiato, La voce del padrone. It's an Italian record, and Death in June, The World That Summer.
Oh, nice choices. You got a little bit of a range, so you can kind of go through the moods on the island, I guess. Last one. What mythical creature, if it existed, could save the world from all our troubles?
The Loch Ness Monster. First, it exists. Second, because it has healing powers.
All right.
I went to Loch Ness 2 months ago, and I took a swim in the lake, and now, look, I'm fine as ever.
Feeling great. My friend, that's all I had. I hope that wasn't too bad and too off the wall.
No. Actually, I probably I don't know if you can keep it on the interview or stuff, but of all the interviews I've done, this was the one I had the most fun with.
Great. I like to keep it that way. We try and not ask the same questions. We try and, make it fun, enjoyable, and see where it goes. I had a list of other questions too, but I never even got to them because once we start talking, it's just I like the conversational thing rather than question.
It's better that way, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, you got it. Right on the money. Thank you for taking the time, man. I enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Bye.
Be well.
Have a nice day.